Hello there, I'm Sarah Arciniega, and today I will be sharing a two-page scrapbook layout. I'm going to be featuring Stampin' Up's Nestled Essential Dies. I actually got these in my starter kit when I signed up to be a demonstrator, and I've used them on several layouts and cards as well. You can see that there are three shapes. We have the banner, a rounded rectangle, and then a hexagon, excuse me, that's elongated. And like I said, I've already used them on several things and can see them being well loved in my craft room. I'll also be bringing in the remnants that I have from the Good Life collection by Close to My Heart. This came out last fall, and I will be using it to document a day at the rodeo. And so you can see my pictures here. The rodeo comes to town every year around February and March, and it's a great, I wouldn't say a tradition, we don't go every year, but we do go often, and we just have really fond memories of going to the rodeo with our kids. And so those will be the highlight of my page. I made these tags for another layout and they actually didn't make the cut. I ended up not using them, so I'm hoping to pull those in today. And then last fall, I actually did a 30 days of creativity challenge, and some days I was able to do like a whole layout or a whole card, but some days I just didn't have time to do that. And so some days I would just color some images. And so that's what I did. I did this back last fall, and I hope to use those since it's a rodeo layout. This is the Life in Boots collection from from Close to My Heart. The last stamp set I will bring in is the Stamp of the Month from Close to My Heart. These cute chicks will help me to tell my story that I want to focus in on from our day at the rodeo. So I'm going to start with 2 pages of French vanilla. Off screen, I've taken scraps of the Good Life collection, and I've taken the largest of the banner shaped dies and cut them out. And what I will do is create the illusion of a long banner going down the page. This is a layout that I have done before. I think the original I did came from a Close to My Heart idea book. I actually scrap lifted it from Erin Jacobson from Crafty Concepts with Erin, and I actually have a YouTube video that I will link down below where I show another page where I use the same idea, but the page looks completely different, and so I'll link that. But as you can see, I'm taking that second banner and putting them below, and in the end this will look like one continuous banner down the paper. You can get a similar effect by dovetailing the papers by yourself, but I love using the dies. Look at the stitching. I actually put a close-up because it wasn't really showing in the video, but the stitching, the faux stitching around them is such a fun detail, and so I am glad that I have these dies to use on this banner layout. And what I'm doing now is adhering all of the banners. I'm going to use my T-square ruler. And what I do is I start from the outside. So I do the first and the last one and make sure those are, the same distance from the edges of the paper. And then I'm actually going to tape down the middle one and use the 6-inch mark for that. And then the last two I can just eyeball in between. And so that's what I do here. You can see that my second banner on this one, I don't even have the dovetailed part because that's not going to show it all, and so there wasn't enough paper to get the full die, but I knew I didn't need that, and so this really is a great way to use up scraps. In addition to the pattern paper from the Good Life collection, I did actually bring in a little bit of the Harbor cardstock. It's a coordinating color, and the reason I did that is just because it helped create some balance, I thought, with the colors. And so that's Harbor. I did use the light side, I believe, of the Harbor. And voila, here are all of the banners adhered down. On the right side, I'm going to have a bigger section of cardstock that will house a lot of pictures, and so, or not a lot of pictures, but 3 pictures, and so that's a 9-inch long piece of cardstock there. And then in the bottom right, I will do some embellishments. Here I'm going to bring in a skinnier one, and what I'm going to do at the bottom of this one is add some zip strips. So this is one of the zip strips from the Good Life, and then here's another one. I do actually need to trim a little off the bottom there. Didn't get quite close enough, and so that one just has cute little vintage trucks down it that look like something you might see on a farm or at the rodeo. on the left, I will put 2 more pictures. I have a 4x4 and a 4x6. I'm using these placeholders to just, hold the place for the pictures as I do the, layout. However, I was going to use them for backgrounds, but the stark white was kind of bothering me with the French vanilla, so I do trade them out down the road and put French vanilla underneath. But these are the pictures I'm going to be using, and the story actually that I want to focus in, like when I do the journaling, I could just put like, oh, we had a day at the rodeo, it was fun. I put the date, maybe the location, and that's fine. There's like no right or wrong way to do journaling. But one of my favorite things to do is to really like pinpoint a moment and to kind of focus in on that. And so that's what I want to do with these pictures. One of my favorite memories of this day was we were in the big arena where they had the inside exhibits, and they had a bunch of chicken incubators. And my little guy was just fascinated by this whole process. There were all sorts of different stages that the chicks were in. Some were nice and fluffy, and some, though, you could tell that the chick was just working so hard to get out of that egg. And so my little guy, he was just like, come on, chick, come on, chick. And he just cheered the little chicks on. And it was just such a cute moment that, like I said, that's like the moment I want to remember. And so in my journaling, I'm going to focus on that. So as you can tell on the right, I put the little tags there and added the boots. I think that's fun. From that same stamp set, there is a cute title. It says, "Life is better in boots." And I like the little tab there too at the top. I really feel like it helps, have a place for the chick to be instead of just like floating up there. And so I'm going to bring in my little foam pad here, and I'm using Harbor ink, and so both blues will be there. I'm using Mist cardstock for the little tab, and then, like I said, this is the Harbor ink. One thing that I should mention, I off camera actually stamped on some scrap paper, and I'm so glad that I did. This is actually not a new stamp. It's been seasoned. It's been used a few times, but even with that, when I did it on the scratch paper, for whatever reason, like some of the spots weren't showing up super well. And so I was able to like realize that. And so actually, what I ended up doing is kind of pushing harder on those spots, like targeted pressure. And that helped create a better image. And had I not done the scratch paper, I would have, wasted some cardstock, which isn't a huge deal, but I do like to, not waste cardstock. So that was a good idea. Scratch paper is always a good idea to practice your stamping. So here I'm kind of looking at my color balance, and I have like the blues in all the areas, and I have browns in all the areas, but my yellow is all on the left page. And so I want to try to carry that over into the right somehow. And so I brought Lemonade ink in and Sundance ink. I actually don't have Honey Butter ink. I was still collecting inks when Close to My Heart went out of business, and so I don't have any of that. And so I looked up the color comparison, and it looks like I need to order some crushed curry from Stampin' Up. So that's good to know that that's what I need to order to get that shade of yellow. But I kind of knew before I did this that they probably weren't going to work out, but I wanted to try anyway. So the Lemonade is just really too bright. It's more like a primary color, and the Sundance is just way too orangey. And so I'm like, okay, we're not going to do that. And so I go ahead and stamp some Harbor stars and some espresso stars and some mocha stars. And then I had the idea of, well, instead of doing it on French vanilla paper, I could bring in the cardstock. I do have Honey Butter cardstock. And so that's what I did. I brought in all the colored cardstock, and I went ahead and stamped with, brown ink and used those instead. As you can see, I just used some scraps, and here I'm showing a comparison of, here's like the Lemonade on the French vanilla, and then here's the espresso on the Honey Butter cardstock. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the ones off that are all on the white and just use the colored cardstock ones. So you can see that I have groups of 3 in each cluster. They do get moved around a little here and there before the final, but I do place them in groups of 3 just so that they have some balance and have the odd number. Because I used the bottom right corner for embellishments, I needed somewhere to put my journaling, and so I'm going to use a flip flap, and you can see that I just put the story inside there. with a big title that said, "Come on, chick." And so that is a wrap for this layout. I hope you enjoyed watching how this came together, and I would love to have you join me again. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and push that subscribe button. And if you like what you saw, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.